All right. Welcome to the episode of Veteran Perspectives. We got a hot, hot topic today. Duolingo CEO. Teachers aren't daycare workers, my friend. Just like you said, let's talk about it. Started. Welcome. First, our sponsor is going to be our Etsy store because my wife is a teacher and I am a former teacher of 14 years, just about 14. So we value teachers, we value education, we value technology. And so in our Etsy store, we have positivity items, positive care, uh, awareness, things like that. We have those items for sure, but we also have created Canva templates for teachers to help them with planning. We have things like seating charts, lesson plan templates, but we also have things to use for and with your students, like an ebook template, a quiz creator where students can create their own quizzes, or you as the teacher can create the however you want to use it. You will get to download those templates and you can edit them however you want. They belong to you at that point. Once they are purchased, you'll get a link where you will get the template and it is yours at that point, and you edit it however you see fit. There's even a digital student work display thing that you can use for conferences with parents to display work classes. I know sometimes it's hard to gather all the digital work that students do when parents come to conferences, and this is a way that students can do it for you, have them collect the work. But that is just one of our templates. We have several of them. We have them in different bundle options as well, and those are all in our Etsy store. The link will be in the description no matter where you are listening or watching. Let's get started. Oh, the Duolingo CEO, Louis Von On. I believe that's how you say his last name. Louis Von On stirred up a storm of controversy, saying that AI can replace all teachers. We only keep teachers because they are daycare work. All right, bro. First off, you guys know me by now, listen to previous podcasts, or if you're new here, okay, let me let you know. I am pro AI in education. Okay? But the AI doesn't work without the human element of teacher. Okay? It just simply does not. Can AI grade a paper? Yes. Can AI write a lesson plan? Yes. Teachers out there, don't lie to me and say you haven't used AI to try to develop a lesson. Because you have. But who has to deliver that lesson? You do. Can AI create the components of an online lesson? Yeah, of course it can. But who has to explain that lesson to students? Who has to break down the direction in more comprehensible pieces for students with neurodivergent needs? You do. The teacher does. The human does. There is still, and there always will be, a human piece of education that must exist. So, devaluing teachers and saying, oh, they're just daycare workers is just, I don't want to say stupid because that's not the word I'm looking for. It's wrong. It's wrong. Okay? Now, I'm a user of Duolingo, right? Like, I use Duolingo off and on to try to pick up words here and there, right? And I know they use AI to develop their product, but they also use human beings to market their product. They use human beings to fix problems with their product, to field customer complaints about their product. So, Louis, or is it Luis? And I apologize if I'm saying that. Are you getting rid of your entire employee base and replacing them with AI? Because you could, right? According to your argument, you could. Because teaching is a more complex task than just words on a page. Period. And before we dig in deeper, Daycare workers being used as an insult is a joke, because daycare workers are educators too. My wife and I have 3 children. We used daycare facilities when they were younger as much as we could. It became a cost thing for us to where my wife became a stay-at-home mom for a while. That was something we discussed and made decisions as a family when our kids were younger. But we used daycare, for a while we were working and when I was at school at ASU. They educate. A lot of them have curriculum programs that they purchase, that they use, that they train their employees on. So using daycare worker as an insult is an insult to educators. So let's not do that, right? We have to honor daycare workers. They work their asses off. Okay? They're often the first teacher in a child's life. Okay? They foster curiosity. They teach social skills. They let parents know, hey, I'm noticing this about your child. Good or not so good, right? They lay a foundation for lifelong learning, whether it's through singing songs, teaching numbers, reading them, sparking their imagination, teaching to share, to show empathy. Daycare workers are the ones that are on the front line, are the earliest people, other than the parent at home, that do that. They are positive adult influences on children. So using them as an insult, stop that now. Stop it. That is not an insult. All right, let's paint a picture. 7:30 in the morning, classroom's already buzzing, probably, right? Kids coming in and out. Teachers juggling lesson plans, calming students' anxiety because they're freaked out about something, right? Quietly noticing that a kid in the corner hasn't eaten breakfast. It's not a daycare, it's a classroom. Lives are shaped, not just watched. Okay? Recently, this CEO stirred up a storm by suggesting schools are essentially daycare centers and that artificial intelligence could take over teaching. It cannot take over teaching. It could take over the dissemination of information, but the actual teaching of something has to have a human touch. Even online classes. I taught online for 10 years. Okay, 10 of my almost 12, 13, 14 years was spent online. You have to have a human element. Okay? I left education due to toxic leadership that created triggers and issues with my PTSD. This statement hit me hard because that's toxic. It enters more toxicity to the profession. Right? It's a slap in the face. Teachers are not babysitters. They're mentors, counselors, cheerleaders. Sometimes the teacher is the only consistent adult in a child's life. I've had students tell me, even online, they would call me or they would send a text through our school's text system that we had. Hey, Mr. Connell, thanks for talking to me today about today's lesson. You're the only adult I really talk to. Hey, I don't really talk to my mom or my dad. Right? Teachers have to wear that weight. Right? And AI can't wear that weight. Okay? We are the only consistent and constant. We notice things about students that sure advanced AI can notice, right? Attitude, slump shoulders, drop in effort, spark in their eyes when they finally get it, when the light bulb turns on, right? Yeah, AI can do that, right? But how does AI react to it? It just collects the data, right? The teacher says, hey, come here. So what's going on? Like, hey, all right, you got that. Let's go. Let's go. How do we use it? Where do we go from here, right? Teacher does that, not the AI. Okay? So reducing that role ignores the emotional and intellectual labor. Yes, that's a phrase that I came up with. That's mine now, okay? That we as educators, and I am still an educator, one of my very best friends told me that even though you're not in the classroom, you are still educating. We invest daily Emotional and intellectual labor is invested daily by teachers. Period. Hands down, period. And AI might have the intellectual labor, but as of right now, in education, it does not have the emotional labor at all. It does not exist. So why does this matter? Bonan's comment, it's not just a soundbite, okay? It reflects a growing mindset that tech can solve education by replacing humans. Now, you guys know that I've been in the classroom, I've taught online. I love AI. I use it for my own businesses. I use it to generate ideas, right? I use it to generate ads. I'm sorry, like I use it to generate ideas for ads for my affiliate product, right? AI is a tool, not the teacher. Okay? Heck, my daughter has teachers that tell her, hey, try this on ChatGPT, compare it to your notes. There is zero wrong with that. In fact, I'm glad her teachers are doing that. Okay? AI is a tool, not the teacher. Okay, we have to set the record straight here. While I am an advocate for AI in the classroom, you still need the human element to control how that AI is used. Okay? It is a partner, not a replacement. Okay, as you guys know, I'm not a technophobe. I'm not an old school educator that fears technology. In fact, I call those educators out. We need to embrace technology. We need to use AI in the classroom. Okay? But it does not replace you. Okay? It does not replace the teacher. Because I use AI every day for my side gigs. What I do. Right? How do you think I look up trends on Etsy? How do you think I looked up the best format for a blog? I Googled it. What the hell do you think Google uses? AI? Come on. Generating content ideas, streamlining workflows, and education, AI has crazy potential to transform how we teach, how our students. Studies show that personalized learning plans through AI, developed through AI, can boost student outcomes by up to 30%. This is from EdSurge. Okay? You guys can look that up. And AI can make that scalable, right? Like, oh, they met this target. Let's go to the next target. Here's how we're going to do that. But that doesn't replace the teacher that helps them meet the targets. That's where the CEO of Duolingo goes off the rails. His vision is skewed. It's wrong. Okay? AI can drill vocabulary, grade quizzes, tailor math problems to a student's level. Absolutely. Tools like adaptive learning platforms are already doing this, right? If districts choose to use them, which they should, okay, help students progress at their own pace. But AI can't do what I did as a teacher every day and what my fellow friends and teachers do every single day, what my wife does every single day. Look at a struggling student in the eye and encourage them. Say, you've got this. A robot is not going to do that. A robot might do it, but they know it's a robot. Students are smart. It can't sense when a kid's home life is having issues or falling apart. It cannot build trust like human beings do. It cannot spot the subtle signs of a learning disability before it spirals. Those are things that teachers do. Teachers bring empathy, we bring intuition and human connection, things no algorithm can replicate yet. AI should lighten our load, not erase us from the equation. And by lighten our load, I mean when our students take a test, like for example in my US government class, when my students take a test, that test should be run through AI. Hey, this percentage of students missed this question. Let me generate a mini lesson that you could teach to the class or to those students in a pull-away group to make sure that they understand what this concept is. That's how AI should be used. Okay? Personalized lessons. Okay? It's not to be feared, it's to be used as a tool. Like over-reliance on AI. This right here, this behavior by Louis von Ahn. It's not just theoretical. They've already laid off workers. Now, contract workers, right? Laid off might be a little harsh. Their contract was up. I put laid off in my blog, and I'm going to leave it. I'm going to stand by it because they could have rehired them and replaced them with AI to generate lesson content. And that's okay. I get that. We're looking to cut costs. The bottom line matters. Language is more than grammar and vocab. It's culture, human, identity. Those contract workers ideally come from the cultures and the languages that people are learning on Duolingo. When you outsource that to a machine, there's risk. It becomes something sterile. Imagine learning Spanish without a teacher's story about their summer in Mexico or Spain, depending on which Spanish you're learning. Or the way you laugh when you nail a tricky pronunciation. That's the human element, right? My daughter is taking Spanish 1 right now in high school. She's a freshman in high school. She's taking Spanish 1. She tries to tell me she's bilingual, but she has a B in the class. And then her teacher says, oh, she has a B for bilingual. The AI's not going to do that. That's funny, right? And only the human element can do that. Only the human element is doing that. So we have to be sure that we understand that AI can be over-relied on, certainly, especially by businesses that are looking to cut the bottom line. Now, this trend isn't unique to Duolingo, okay? I'm not blaming Duolingo on this, okay? Across industries, companies are replacing human workers with AI to cut costs. In education, this could mean fewer teachers, larger class sizes, and a one-size-fits-all approach that leaves students, especially those students with unique needs, behind. Okay? According to a 2023 report by the National Education Association, the NEA, 55% of teachers are considering leaving the profession due to burnout and lack of support. Replacing AI won't fix that. Replacing those teachers with AI isn't going to fix that. It'll make it worse. Because if those 55% leave, the 45% that stay, if districts and states say we're only going to replace 25% of those 55% and then use these AI programs to replace the rest, that's going to increase the workload. It's going to increase the workload. Let's talk about workload for a second. We have talked about devaluing teachers, right? We talk about teacher pay all the time. Well, I got some. This is old. Some of you have probably seen this. I'm going to put it up on the screen for those watching the video on YouTube, but I will explain it, okay? People complain about teachers and not working in the summer and being lazy, blah, blah, blah. First off, teachers work in the summer all the time. They do summer planning. A lot go to PD, some teach summer school, things like that. But I digress. Let's talk about teachers being babysitters, okay? Which is what the Duolingo CEO said, that they're daycare work, okay? I'm not even going to pay teachers minimum wage. In fact, I'm going to pay teachers $3 an hour, okay? Because let's devalue teachers, because that's what a lot of people want to do. We're only going to pay them for the hours they work. Let's call it 7:45 to 3 o'clock. So we're going to pay them for 6.5 hours of work because they always get a lunch and they always get a prep period. Right, teachers? You always get that. You never work on your lunch, never work on your prep period, right? Ever. Okay? So 6.5 hours of work at $3 an hour, okay? So that's $19.50 per student. Okay? So let's take an average of 30 students. I know some classes are bigger, some might be a little smaller, but let's call it an average of 30 students. Okay? So $19.50 per day. Per day per student. $19.50 times 30 is $585 a day. Okay? Now, part 3, teachers are lazy. They only work 180 days of the year, right? Right? That's it. They only teach 180 days out of the year. So let's take that $585 per day and multiply it by 180 days. That's $105,300 a year. Now, I was a teacher for a long ass time. I didn't make anywhere close to that. And I worked way more than 180 days. I worked way more than 6.5 hours a day. So the next time, whether it's the Duolingo CEO, whether it's the government, whether it's the neighborhood, whether it's the city council wants to bring up shit about cutting teachers' pay, I just want to pay them $3 an hour. That's fucking it. No tips, no nothing. Just $3 an hour for half the year per kid. Imagine if that was minimum wage. Imagine if that was minimum wage. Imagine if that was minimum wage when I started working, which was $5.25. How much more money that would be. Imagine if it was for a high school teacher that had 6 periods a day and you're getting paid per student. Crazy, right? So the next time we want to talk shit about teachers, and yes, I know that I will bash education and I will talk about what's wrong with our education system, including the attitudes of teachers, a lot, but I will also defend them from shit like this. Because I only want to pay them $3 an hour, and I've probably doubled their salary. Because the average is about $50,000 a year across the United States. Some make more, some make less. Depends on what state you're in, if that state has a teachers union, things like that. Okay? So parents especially, because this is where this stems from. Oh, I pay your salary. You don't pay shit. Because first off, teachers pay taxes too. And second, they only want $3 per hour to watch your kid for 6.5 hours per day. We only want $19.50 per day for your kid to be in our classroom. That's it. So the next time we want to run our mouths about we want teachers to be quote unquote daycare workers, or that's all they are, then fucking pay them like them. Pay the daycare workers this way too. Because I bet they're not making this kind of money. And daycares are open during the summer too. So before we speak, Mr. Duolingo CEO, community members, school districts, superintendents, state boards of education, use your fucking brains a little bit. How AI can actually transform education. I got 4 things here because I always have a solution, right? I always come with solutions. If we want AI to improve education, we need to use it to empower teachers, not replace them, because it can. Here's how AI can make a real difference in classrooms. We've talked about some of these already. Personalized lesson plans. AI can analyze student data in real time, create customized lessons that adapt to each child's strengths and weaknesses. Actual individualized learning. This frees teachers to focus on guiding and inspiring students. Streamlining admin tasks, grading, lesson planning, progress reports eat up hours of teachers' time. Hours. Let me tell you. AI could automate these tasks. Most of them. Giving educators more time for meaningful student interactions. In early intervention, AI can flag learning gaps or behavioral changes early, allowing teachers to step in before a student falls too far behind. Skill building at students' pace. Platforms like Khan Academy already do this. They use AI to let students practice skills independently, reinforcing concepts without the pressure of keeping up with class. This would be like during an intervention time where students work on something like this. What do all these have in common? Yes, they're all generated by AI, but they need a teacher to function. They need a teacher to function. They need a teacher to buy in. So teachers, this is on you to buy into this shit because it can work. You guys complain a lot. I'm gonna dig at you guys now. You guys complain a lot about time. Well, I'm giving you options to give you time back, but now you need to use that time on your students. So if we're taking away the lesson planning, the grading, progress report, not all of it, but a big chunk of it, okay, you better be looking at those individualized lessons and setting up groups. You better be looking at those early interventions during that intervention time, setting up your small groups or your individualized instruction. That has to happen. If it doesn't, then you just wasted time. That's the only way it's going to work, is if teachers buy in. These tools do not replace teachers. They have the potential to make teachers better at their job. They let us focus on the human side of education. You know, that whole building relationships, fostering creativity, and helping students navigate their challenges thing? Yeah, that's part of teaching. This is my message to Louis Von Ahn and anyone else that's listening. All 5 of you. Louis, if you're reading this, I invite you to spend a week in a real classroom. Not a polished private school, but a public one, where teachers are juggling 30 kids, outdated textbooks, and endless paperwork, and technology that's probably old and doesn't work. Talk to the educators who stay up late grading, who buy classroom supplies out of their own pockets. Their districts are cheap asses, who cry when a student finally graduates against all the odds. You'll see we're not standing in the way of progress. Teachers are never standing in the way of progress. We need to adjust to make that progress easier to attain through the use of technology. We've been begging for change. The real ones have been begging for change. Better resources, smaller class sizes, more support. Teachers, AI could be part of that change, but only if it respects the humanity at the heart of education. Tech that tries to replace teachers doesn't just fail students. It fails the future. It fails everyone. Okay? Period. Now, I want you guys to join the conversation. What do you think about AI in education? Are you a teacher using tech in creative ways? Are you a parent worried about what this means for kids? Or maybe you agree with Von Ahn and you want AI to replace teachers. That's okay. All are welcome here. I'm going to disagree with you, but that's okay. We can still have a respectful conversation as the assholes in this party. You know what I mean? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear everyone's perspective. If you found this blog and this podcast helpful, insightful, share it with everyone. Make sure you guys subscribe to the blog. I'll put the Substack blog and the Beehive blog. Subscribe to both. They're free. Make sure you're subscribed to the Spotify and the YouTube as well. Again, free. I paywalled nothing. I want you guys to subscribe to all of these. Right now, nothing is paywalled. Okay? Will it last that way? I don't know, but it's that way now. Take advantage of it. Okay? Today was a little bit of a crazy one. I was shocked when I saw that. I had to write a blog about that. It actually came out. The blog came out this week. It came out on Monday. And then I wanted to do the podcast on Friday, right? That's how we do things. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you found it insightful and interesting. If you guys have any topic ideas, let me know down in the comments. I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. I look forward to your guys' comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.